Today we got another awesome video for the 4Runner, and obviously, as you guys can tell, these are the Lasfit mats for the 4Runner. This is the 5th gen 4Runner, and I have them all laid out over here. So let's get into this and let's take a look at how these things look. If you guys don't know, I have a 2019 TRD Pro 4Runner I picked up probably 6 months ago or so, and it's been great, but it has factory carpet floor mats. So obviously you can tell the carpet floor mats have probably seen better days. Obviously these are the nice TRD Pro ones, but we're gonna swap those out for some nice all-weather floor mats that are in here. That is also going to include the rear as well, which the rear has like no coverage, and it doesn't even cover the middle piece over there. So with that being said, these are a all-weather, very nice textured floor mat, that's for sure. This I think is the passenger side. I should have kind of pulled these out beforehand. And that is the driver's side. So they look really good. I don't like the way they package them because they're kind of folded, but definitely will stretch out and we can try to bend them back just a little bit. But they'll definitely, with the heat in Florida, I mean, it's like 100 degrees outside right now. So with the heat in Florida, these things will straighten out and flatten out very good. As well as we have the rear one, which, as I was showing you before, that this literally covers the entire rear floor. I don't know why car manufacturers don't understand. We want the entire floor covered, not just where our feet sit. So, and then there's a one for the trunk, which after I was reading, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get this one to work because I have the sliding trunk. So I do have to see if this will fit. Maybe we can trim it to fit. And then these other ones are actually for the back of the second row seats. So they cover the back seats. That way, if you lay them flat, you still get a nice all-weather floor mat for the entire car. So let's hop in. Let's go give this car a quick vacuum and get the first one in, and let's see how these things look. Got everything all vacuumed up and got the first mat. So let's slap this in here. And I can already tell how nice these things actually fit. The lock-in pins lined up perfectly. So for the lock-in pins, they lined up perfectly. And they even come with a little clip to protect those, so that way no dirt or anything gets underneath that. But this literally conforms super nice to everything, and it comes up on top underneath the seat. So definitely a plus. Let's go grab the factory mat real quick. So let's just take a look at how much more the Lasfits come up over, and they probably go up under the pedals probably a good like 3-4 inches, as well as they come over the sills. They just look perfect. So, and they're not like super over the top, so they actually look pretty OEM. So let's move on to the passenger side and get that one going. All right, so I got all the old floor mats out and cleaned up. The floors are looking pretty good. I mean, for I guess going on a 7-year-old car with 100,000 miles, it looks pretty good. So I did have a stain over here on the carpet. I just used some all-purpose cleaner and scrubbed it away, and it lifted perfectly fine. So, and I just let these sit out in the sun, and they look like they're flattening out perfectly. So let's get the passenger one in here. So it slips right in. You will want to pop these little caps off. Again, this one fits really good. They actually hug the edges much better than some other mats that I have seen. So it's nice that they hug the edges. We'll see how the heat does with these. I know sometimes if this is like the WeatherTech mat material, it might curl after like 4 or 5 years, but obviously that's getting a pretty good lifespan out of any floor mats. So but let's move on to the back ones. All right, here's the rear one. Like I said, not only they cover the centerpiece right here, it covers literally everything, as well as going under the seats very good. So that is a plus. So let's move on to the trunk ones and take a look at those. All right, so before we begin, let's remove all this stuff. All right, so now we got this thing all cleared out and all cleaned. Now we can get the mat ready, as well as the other mats for the back. There's always a plane, and I feel like I don't even live close to an airport. But so these back pieces are pretty simple. They're just velcroed on, and they go on just like that. I mean, that is honestly much simpler than I had thought. It might be easier to put the seats down, so let's put the seats down. All right, the last one, we have a car seat. So hopefully I can do this without having to remove the entire car seat. I'm gonna fold down these seats just to make sure everything like actuates perfectly fine without getting in the way. Alright, everything works. I did readjust one. It looked a little crooked, but everything else is perfect. So now let's take a look at this floor mat that is supposedly not supposed to fit the 4Runner with the cargo sliding bottom. This fits much better than I was assuming it was going to fit. It does have this weird overhang. I'm not sure if this is supposed to be the front or the other side is supposed to be the front. I might turn it around and put this at the back, and who knows, I might just trim this up and call it quits, because we honestly barely use the actual sliding mechanism on here, but obviously it still would work with this on it. But if you had other things sitting on the back, it obviously would tug on it. It's not like this is even that big of a car. I'm not sure why this was really an accessory, but it is. Like I said, I'm gonna modify this. You shouldn't have to if you have just a normal flat without the sliding cargo. This should slip right in with no issues, but I'm going to modify mine so that way it works for the sliding one and it doesn't cover this up as much. So, but I think I honestly have a pretty decent cut line here, so I'm just going to cut this and then we'll call it a day here. It honestly looks like a pretty decent cut. This stuff actually cuts pretty nicely. So let's flip the mat around and then so honestly, I'm not sure why it does this little weird loop-de-loop over on the sides. If that was continuous, it'd honestly look even better. This literally butts up pretty good up and over here, and then it butts up right at the plastic edge here. So if I still needed to use it, I can, as well as now I have some protected storage on the trunk. So don't know what this excess piece is for on the other ones. Maybe there's some hooks or something on the bottom that it's opened up so that way you can grab to it. But honestly, this is actually really good. If someone told you I had modified this, you probably would never even know. So now that looks amazing. So let's throw everything back into the trunk. Boom. All right, everything's back in. And one thing too, if you guys have a dog, I definitely recommend one of these lily brushes. It literally gets the hair off of any carpet surface with no issues. So these things fit super nicely. Coverage is amazing. And then let's take a look. I know I showed you the front. Let's take a look at what the backs were covering up before. So I think this is actually a right hand one. How much the carpet mat did not cover. They go in like 2-3 inches that way, covers up the entire center, as well as goes over the lip and does a little bit more coverage along the entire side. So not only are we good for just dirt, but this is also excellent for any liquid drops that you happen to have. But anyways, with all that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys are new and you guys are interested in picking up a set of these mats, I will put a link down below. And I do want to say thanks to Lasfit for wanting to send these out. With all that being said, thank you guys so much for watching, and see you guys next time.